the Green Tom Show. This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more than I did. That's just because it was your show, but it's not your show. It's the Tom Green Show. The Tom Green Show.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to my first ever podcast. This is very exciting to see all of you here in the audience tonight. We have an audience tonight here live from the SModCastle. All right. This is exciting, and I'm very excited to announce, as you probably already know, that the microphone moves. That Bill Burr is here tonight. Our guest is Bill Burr. And we're going to be bringing him out in a second. I just want to say thank you to Kevin Smith and his team here at the SModCastle for inviting me. I've been doing a web television show for a few years now on my website, and it's been a lot of fun. But this is the first time where the audience has not been in my actual living room. So I am happy about that, actually. It's been driving me a little bit crazy doing my show in my living room. I'm not sure if that's obvious when you look at me, but when I do my show, you know, I go crazy because people come to my house all the time. They come to my house all the time, and you know, it's been tough. Actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's been a tough thing. So it's been It's very nice to have this opportunity to come here to have some boxed water at the SModCastle. And, you know, without going on and on about myself, I just want to bring out Bill Burr, who is we're real lucky to have him here today. Bill Burr is going to come on out now. Come on out now, Bill. Let's have a hand for Bill Burr. There we go. There we go, Bill. All right. I think I needed to plan the intro a little better. I didn't really plan out the intro.
I liked it.
I've got a lot of questions
that I have.
You
said my name like 15 times.
Yeah.
I was really inflating my ego. You were like, Bill Burr is here. We have him.
Yeah.
And Bill Burr is in the back, and Bill Burr will be coming out here shortly. So here's Bill Burr.
It's amazing for my first.
I was like, this is something like I'm fucking blowing up.
Yeah.
And boxed water. This is the future.
Yeah.
We were saying, people are going to complain, though, because your nose hits it right here. I like it because my nose hits this. And then some douche, like late at night, will come up with something that sticks on the end of your nose that pushes this back, that comes in like 5 different colors. And you'll make a fortune.
This is quite a regular thing around here at the SModCastle, the boxed water.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
I like dolphins.
This is my first podcast. You do a podcast. You do the Monday morning podcast on your website.
Yes, I
do. What am I doing wrong?
Well, first thing, there's a lot of debris in the way of us right now.
Yeah.
Like I see like half your face.
Yeah, we've got mic stands between us.
And then we're sort of cheated towards the audience.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know what you're doing wrong because I do mine by myself in my bedroom, just sort of sitting in my boxers. That's how I do it. And then occasionally my girlfriend Nia will walk in, and then I'll give her shit, and then she'll pick up a mic and expose me for the moron that I am, and then she leaves.
So you don't have guests on your show?
Occasionally I have, and I don't have the interview skill thing down. It's just so remember that bit Chris Farley used to do on Saturday Night Live where he would just be like, "Yes, you're a comedian." That's awesome. It's like literally, it's about 2 degrees better than that. But I've had a couple. Actually, I had if you know what, if I get a really good guest and they can talk, then I'm fine. But if they're not a good talker, I'm in trouble. Because I had Nick Schwartz and Mark Maron, and they were great storytellers. So then I was cool. But
so when you do the podcast by yourself, what do you talk about when you're doing it by yourself?
I don't know. It's sort of a free-form thing, and I also have like people ask me questions, and or someone will tell me a story. I'll start talking about sports. And it's just sort of this thing that rolls along, and I get on a roll, and it's funny, and then it isn't, and then I just give myself shit for not being funny, which steers it into something else. It's actually really helped my stand-up act as far as just like improv and that type of thing, to talk to yourself once a week for an hour, like a psycho.
Do you go back and listen to it and find bits that just sort of came out in a stream of consciousness, and then you turn it into a comedy
Yeah,
bit?
Occasionally if something really good comes out, like... I was imitating my dad for some reason this week when we used to bitch about my mother when she would overcook something, And when he would complain, he'd get a really whiny voice. He'd be like, Christ, you cooked the shit out of it. I just kept saying it over and over again. And it just became ridiculously funny to me. And I was just like, I would love to annoy the shit out of people in a comedy club, just imitating my dad's whiny voice. So that might be a little something. Judging by their reaction, I might just leave it to the podcast, though.
This is pretty cool. We actually do have, but you can hear the audience on the podcast. We can hear them. They are actually you guys are reacting. This is fun to have.
This is the first time I've ever done a podcast in front of a live audience.
Yeah, this is good.
This is
give yourselves a hand.
This is like an interesting too, where you can see everybody's faces. You know, I don't know about you, but when I'm on stage, I like to fade after the third row.
Yeah.
And then just become this wash of noise.
I think that was slightly what was responsible for my stammering intro, actually. I'm so used to just sort of staring at my wall in my living room, and I came out and there were all these people staring back at me. I don't know if I was expecting to have such a large audience tonight, but thank you all for showing up. A lot of people here. So how's the dog?
The dog is, she's good. She's going through, just to let your I guess I can't say listeners, your viewers here and your listeners is basically, we rescued a pit bull about a year ago. And, things were going great. It liked us. And we took it down the street. And then it was like not so much with other people coming down the street. And it just progressively got worse. And then one day it tried to eat like a landscaper. And I was so mad at that fucking Sarah McLachlan commercial, because they never show people rescuing those kinds of dogs. You know what I mean? Like whenever you see, she's a rescue, it's always like a little fucking something you can flick off a coffee table.
You're mad
something small, if it snaps. None of the dangerous dogs. So we went hardcore, and we got, so we basically took her to one of those dog whisperer people, and the person did more training of us. Like it really picks up on your vibes.
Uh-huh.
Like if you're chill, it's chill. But if you're like, dude, what the fuck? It's like, what the fuck, what?
Yeah.
And then it goes into, you're nervous? Don't worry, dude. I got it. You feed me. You're awesome. I got this. And then you have to there's ways of you learn how to read the dog. Like I had no idea it was total like Game 7 look on its face. I'm just sitting there. Oh, wow, a beautiful day. Gotta love the weather out here. And it's literally just focusing in, getting ready to kill something. So.
But when a pit bull goes, what the fuck? That's a big problem, right?
Yeah, I was actually amazed at what it takes once they really lock in, because I was over at the... I always get nervous to telling these stories, too, if the thing ever fucking kills somebody. I'll just have reels of tape, whatever this is, digital shit in the air that's going to convict me. But, no, we were over at the place, the dog whisperer place, and there was this little dog, just, talking shit. And my dog just fucking freaked. It was like, all right, you want to do it? Let's do it. And once it was like, we're throwing down, to try to get this fucking thing to be like, hey, we're over here now. Shit is cool. Well, he was trying to show me something, because normally all you do is you just turn it around, and they're really just in the moment. Like, I'm going to fucking kill you. Ooh, look at that tree. You know what I mean? You can just really spin them around really quickly. But this thing was just locked in, and this guy was essentially throwing open hand uppercuts to its rib cage, and it wasn't feeling anything. It was just stay on target.
Wow.
Yeah. So we basically, what do I call it? An adolescent lion. That's basically what you have. But they're fucking awesome. They love you, and if anybody breaks in, you're good to go.
Do you ever get in trouble for anything you say in your act that's too close to home?
Yeah, I told the story one time when my girlfriend punched me on Valentine's Day, and I wrote a blog about it. And I wrote it in a funny way, but then all the comments were like, what a cunt. You should fucking bitch and all this shit. And it's just like, once all the geniuses on the internet. It was weird. They were really supporting me in the most moronic way possible. So I finally had to take it down and just be like, they didn't mean it literally, just in like a cyberspace sort of way. So,
how long have you two been living together now here in Los Angeles?
14, 15 years? Is that what it is? No, we've been together for 6 years.
And is that...
We're married how I can emotionally deal with being married. This is really just going to become like Dr. Phil. Why did you come down here tonight, Nia? It's
But you have your new show is coming out on Comedy Central, and
oh yeah,
of your
see right there, that's great guy code. Immediately changed the subject.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, and you talk a lot about your relationship in that new show.
Oh.
But
yes, I do. Yes, I do. No, she's awesome. I'm finished, and
Yeah.
that's the phase we're at this point. Look at my uncomfortable body language. I just find the marriage ceremony. I find it humiliating, and I don't like the laws. I think they're fucking archaic. It's I think women talk a lot of shit about being independent, and I got my own stuff, and then the second there's stuff on the table, they kind of want all of it, and that frightens me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you. No, but I'm just saying, it's fucking ridiculous. The amount of guys, I used to work third shift in this warehouse, right? I used to work third shift in this warehouse, and everybody working third shift was either a recovered drug addict or currently using, or they were a divorced guy who was paying for a house that he no longer could be in and was sleeping on a fucking futon because their marriage went down the shitter. And that's just something I don't get. It's like if the two of you failed together, why does one person just bear the financial brunt of that? I don't get it, where you're an adult and then you don't have to go get a fucking job. I don't get it. It's ridiculous. All of a sudden you just get to hang out, fucking eating cereal in your slippers at 3 p.m. as I'm fucking throwing out my back on some air mattress, right? And you get the house? It's fucking ridiculous. Which is what makes me believe in the Illuminati, because guys made that, and you need money to storm the castle. So if I'm on a fucking air mattress, you want to go get these bankers? Nah, Tom, my fucking back's killing me. Let me just take a yoga class. We'll deal with it later.
So you were working in a warehouse before you started doing comedy in Boston, and one day
I loved warehousing.
Yeah?
I'm a control freak. I don't like people telling me what to do, and I like the vagueness of where I had to be within the warehouse structure. It was literally like 50,000 square feet.
So you'd go hide?
Oh, yeah. He's on the forklift. You just drive by, wave at your boss. Like this look on your face like you're concentrating, like you're moving shit from one side to another. I mean, the job was a joke. You were mentally educated enough to do it in the third grade. I mean, a truck comes in, and it's like, you open the packing list, 42. You count up to 42. Okay, everything's here. And then you put it away.
What was in the warehouse?
The first one I worked at was actually computer software, if you can believe it. I worked at this place called Corporate Software. And I don't know, this is before the internet, and you go to Amazon.com and order software. I'm not in computers. I don't know what. But they just had all this software, and these companies would order software, and you just, one Lotus 123, and you'd pick it off and stick it in a box. And it was very basic. But it was a hilarious job because everybody there was like, like I said, you had people with drug problems, there was musicians and class clowns. And I remember we used to just laugh at everybody in the carpeted area who were all psyched because they got a position and they got stuck in a cubicle and they'd buy their little Michael J. Fox skinny tie. It was the 80s, and they get like a Ford Probe, right? And they thought that they were killing it. And my older brother, totally, thank God, told me, he goes, dude, the dumbest fucking thing you can do when you get that job is to go out and buy a car. And he's like, it's like the Bronx Tale thing. Now you can't leave. You just change yourself to the death. So I used to drive this piece of shit car. I just kept driving. I started doing comedy, and the car fucking died. And rather than buy a new one, I just had a new engine put in it for like $1,200. I remember this girl going, that was stupid, at work, I was just...
What kind of car was it?
Oh, that was awful. It was an 83 Ford Ranger, 2-wheel drive, black vinyl seats, no air conditioning. It was just like, yeah, I had no girlfriend back then. Believe me. I already looked like Ron Howard, and then I drove that. It was pretty much a wrap.
And that was around the time you went and started doing stand-up in Boston?
Yeah, I started in 1992. I was in college at the time, and I did what the fuck was it? Nick's Comedy Stop had this competition, Find Boston's Funniest College Student, and it was basically this big ruse to get a bunch of college kids in there drinking, getting hammered, and watching their friends make complete asses of themselves. And I was going to Emerson College at the time, and which was a performance school, and so many people signed up for it that they actually had 2 nights. And I went up, forgot what I was going to say, sort of jumped into the middle of my act, then did a little of the beginning, and then sort of freaked out. I think I was supposed to do 5 minutes. I think I bailed after 3.5 minutes, but I just it was the first thing I ever did in my life. I was like, I knew I could be good at it, where I was sort of failing at everything else.
So was there a moment when you realized that you were funny, you wanted to be a comedian? Is there? I mean, that's that. Do you remember a specific...
Yeah. One of the guys I worked in the warehouse with was into stand-up the way I was. I came from a real jock town, so it wasn't like, if you even remotely wanted to do any sort of performing, what are you, a fag? It was like one of those places that I grew up in, right? It was just immediately... so this guy was like, he was like psycho into comedy the way I was, and we used to watch that VH1 stand-up Spotlight. Uh-huh. This is what we did. Instead of going out trying to talk to girls, this is like so many comedians are just nerds. We'd go over to I'd go over to his house, and he had his whole bedroom totally hooked up with all the latest technology, which is a whole nother story that I will not get into. But we would watch these, just getting shit-faced, watching stand-up Spotlight.
What kind of technology are you talking about here?
By technology, I meant it's the 80s. He had a fucking leather recliner. He just had all this, and he used to tell his mother, like, what? I don't drink. I don't do drugs. Like, she didn't understand where the fuck he was getting all this money. And like I said, that's a whole nother story that I'm not going to get involved in. So he had this insane TV, and we would just watch it, and he would be like, Bill, these guys, they're not funny.
Yeah.
We're funnier than these guys. One of these nights, I'm going to take a shot at Jack, and I'm just going to go up on stage. And the second he said that, all of a sudden, it wasn't on TV. It didn't seem impossible. I was just like, well, shit, if this guy can do it, I'll do it. And right around then, I heard that whole, if you don't go after what you want in life, you're going to have regrets. So I just went on a mission to stop being afraid of, I switched that performance school is what I did. And in every class I could take to get in front of a crowd, anything, a debating class. I did radio. Radio was great because you got to talk on the mic and you couldn't see anybody, but you were talking to people. And I just systematically undid my social retardation that I had up until that point. Yeah, because I was like totally shut down psycho.
Went to New York City.
Yeah.
And then Los Angeles. No, you've been back and forth, New York and Los Angeles. Now you're in Los Angeles.
I like this. This is like I'm accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award. And then it was then that you booked I Love the 80s Strikes Back, and the rest was all history. And it was great exposure. Unfortunately, it was Viacom. They didn't have a lot of money. So.
Well, this is what I kind of think I want my podcast to be all about. Is I want to be, I want people to tune into.
I think it's cool as hell
to listen to you. I don't want them to listen to me.
I just got nervous with the quietness there.
I'm here every week. This is my first week. I'm here every week.
There you go.
Yeah, but okay, cool.
Moved to New York. Yeah, moved down to New York.
So Los Angeles or New York, though, you like it here better, or what's the deal with that?
I'm definitely an East Coast guy, but I just had kind of done everything that I could do in New York. I know that people book acting jobs and get TV shows out of New York, but it just wasn't happening for me. And I really just felt like I just sort of leveled off there. And I started coming out to L.A., which I didn't like, and I'd come out here, and I was like, God, I kind of like it out here. Kind of like having a car. I'm kind of liking this weather.
Yeah,
I'm liking the changes. I think that's that artist thing where you kind of need a change of scenery. And so, and then the second I came out here, I moved out here a month before the writer's strike. So I had plenty of time to go to Target to get my can opener, whatever the fuck I needed at that point. But, yeah.
When you started doing stand-up, were there any things that in that first year that were, I don't know, horror stories, surprises to you, or did you?
Oh, yeah. Jesus. Yeah. The first time you ever bomb is the most. I did it. My third time up, I bombed. First time up, I went at Nick's Comedy Stop and did. That was all just your first time on stage. If there's anybody listening to this or thinking about doing it, it's not even about how you do. It's just about having the balls to go up there when they call your name and just start talking. Who gives a shit? And just because you're going to be taking in too much stuff, like how do I get the mic out of the mic stand? This is what people look like when you're doing a show, just all that freaky shit. So the first one was whatever. The second one I actually did well. And then the third one, I went up at this place, I think it was called Kelly's. And it was just this pub in North Reading, Massachusetts. And they had like the Bruins game on. and just a couple of, just town drunks sitting there. And then they had this function room that just looked like this, awful place where you get like, mozzarella sticks or something. And I remember just sitting there going, how does this work? There's no crowd. There's two guys up at the bar. They're not even looking. And the rest are all comedians. And I went up there and I told my first joke. And this is the first time I had a joke really bomb. And it's like this invisible kick to your chest. And I was like, fuck. And I didn't know what to do. And then I stumbled into something, and I just immediately panicked. I don't think I did more than like maybe 2 minutes. And this guy, Jack Lynch, was hosting it, and I literally said on the microphone, I said, Jack, I'm bailing. I'm bailing. And then I heard all the other comedians go like they were disappointed in me. And I was so embarrassed. All I wanted to do was just walk out and get in my piece of shit car, but I was so embarrassed. When I got off stage, the first thing I did was I sat down in the closest chair. And I was just sitting there like this punished child for the rest because I couldn't face anybody. I was so fucking embarrassed. And all these comics going up there, more seasoned guys just bombing and shitting on the room. What the fuck is this? And I felt like such a pussy. And I think I was like 4 feet high and just sort of waddled out by the end of it. And just talking to like, when you just keep thinking of something that you're so embarrassed, you don't even talk to yourself. You just make noises trying to make the thought go away. I was just driving home. I'd just be going, okay. It's just hating myself. But I think what really makes you a comedian is if you can come back after that. And what's so hard is the length of time between your shows. So you bomb like that, and you don't have another show for like 8 days when you're brand new because nobody knows you, and you just hear it in a loop in your head. Jack, I'm bailing. Jack, I'm bailing. When you're at work. One time I walked out, I bombed so bad, and I heard this kid talking to his girlfriend. I knew I shouldn't have listened, and no one had done well that night, but I just had to listen. And she's like, is it usually like that? And the guy's like, no, usually it's good. And then he goes, man, that redheaded kid sucked. And I was just like, yeah. So you get a tough skin. And I had a shit thrown at me. A lot of shit that I think I've blocked out. What people have thrown? Well, there's dinner roll, dental floss, ice, a pen. The dental floss was actually trying to help me out. I was doing a bit about working in a dental office. So someone thought, I know how to enhance the joke. I guess maybe the red hair, they thought I was Carrot Top, like I was going to do something with it, and they fucking threw it at me. Came out of the lights, hit me in my chest. And when you're new to it, like any distraction can make you forget where you are in your acting. You just go totally blank. So that was it. I was actually doing well. I'm working in a dental office, and that's crazy. And then it just went, it was just blank, standing up there bombing. So
there's probably the video I saw today for the first time, and I'm sure you get asked about it all the time, is this video that's gone very viral of you in Philadelphia. Oh, yeah. At the Opie and Anthony show.
Book reading. Yeah, we had a nice little book reading down there in Philadelphia.
There was quite an unruly audience, and Dom Herrera was on stage, I think, before you. Was that who it was?
There was... That show arguably was one of the greatest comedy shows ever. The level of talent on that show was ridiculous. It was Dom Herrera, Jim Norton, Patrice O'Neill, Robert Kelly, Ralphie May. I know I'm going to forget somebody, and they're going to get Tracy Morgan. It was insane in one night, and it was just Philly, and they were just right out of the gate. They were just animals, and the first guy went on. It was like 7:10. It was broad daylight. This poor bastard goes out there. It like seats 10,000 people, and there's probably like maybe 2,200 sitting down, sprinkled across, and then there's other people just filing in. And this guy went up there and decided, I'll just stick to my material. And I don't know. I just remember by the end of his act, he was bombing so bad they were just chanting, asshole, asshole, asshole. And he didn't know what to do, and he just like, asshole. And he just goes, thanks a lot, you guys have been great, good night. And he gets off and was like shell-shocked. And I went on like 3 hours after that. So by the time I got out there, it was like the bridge scene on Apocalypse Now.
But it's become one of these really viral videos. I think it's almost got 1 million views or something or more.
Is that right? Oh,
yeah.
So.
And it's because you have probably the most unruly audience you've ever seen in the history of unruly audiences, I guess. And then you came out and proceeded to trash the city of Philadelphia for a solid 8 minutes. And it seems like you kind of turned them around.
Right. Well, actually, that's what's on the video. What really happened was I was so angry at the crowd before I even went out there. I was like, these fucking assholes, they don't even deserve a goddamn show. And I wasn't even nervous. And then they called me out, and I opened the curtain, and I just saw this fucking I've never seen a crowd like that in my life. Just animals. 10,000 animals. And I was like, holy shit, I better do something here. So I didn't know what I was going to open with, and I started off with this bit that they had actually already been playing on the radio as part of the advertising, so they already heard the joke, so they didn't laugh at that. And then my next audible, the first joke I could think of was some stupid joke about talking on cell phones and getting brain cancer, and that one bombed. And then I just said, well, you guys aren't going to laugh at that? And then they booed me, and then, I don't know, I just made a decision I wasn't going to leave. And it was a simple formula, though. I just was like, what do these people love? And then I just attacked it.
Every sports team in the city of Philadelphia.
I'm still killing myself because I forgot the 76ers.
Yeah.
I really killing myself. But yeah, I
personally liked it when you started trashing the Liberty Bell. I thought that was...
Oh, yeah.
It's probably never been trashed before in the history.
I think I've only watched it one time when I was opening after they played it again. My favorite line out of it was I had broken the mic stand. I was so mad, and just this bass here was down there, and I was said I wanted to throw it in the crowd, and I said, I hope I hit a baby.
That's right.
And I was just like, that was...
I remember.
That was... Because that was when I remember attacking the sports teams, and I forgot that I had said that one, so that one actually caught me, and I was like, that was a great level of meanness.
Yeah. I also believe you pointed at one particular audience member and wished herpes on the center of his mother's ass.
Yeah. Which technically would go into the ass.
Yeah.
And would be somewhere in the large intestine.
I wanted to ask how that works.
I don't know. No, that was just like, I was just going, I was loading the guns. I was like, fuck this, I'm going in. And I just started counting. I don't know, and somewhere along the line I started counting down the minutes. It was literally like, when they pulled a fat guy out of the crowd and he hits the half-court shot to win a Chevy S10. That was basically the stand-up version of it. Somehow I got out of it. I don't know how I got out of it, but if you asked me to do it again, I probably wouldn't be able to. So I'll tell you, the most amazing part of that night was Jim Norton still hadn't gone on. And there's like a thing about, there's if you're a good comedian, you have a code where you don't burn down the whole fucking room when there's another guy who still has to go on. But I was so lost in my Tourette's moment that I kind of forgot that Jim still had to go on. And Jim went out there, never addressed what happened, went right into his act and fucking destroyed with material. Like he was just like Leno doing like a monologue.
You turned him around. You turned him all around. It was amazing. It's an
I
amazing video to watch. It's an amazing video to
thank
watch.
you. Thank you.
And, so we met in Montreal. That was where we met for the first time. How did you enjoy the Montreal Comedy Festival?
I had a great time. I did something that was a huge honor to go up there and get to do an hour. I'm really big on the whole, I love doing stand-up, so like all those things are huge to me. So the Montreal Comedy Festival, I remember going there in like 97 and seeing like just all, who the hell was up there? Bernie Mac I saw when he was up there. David Cross and Bob Odenkirk were going, had Mr. Show, and just seeing all those guys just sitting there going, how the hell do you get to that level of funny? And I can't imagine being able to get to do an hour here at the, at the Montreal Comedy Festival. So to finally be able to do that was awesome.
The Canadians laugh the same way? Do we laugh the same way?
I think so. It was a little bit different, but I've done the road so long that I don't even. It's not even something that I think of anymore. And the last time I thought of it was when I did a gig and we went to Stockholm, Sweden, and I remember they were like, my agent called me up, say, "Hey, you want to do a gig in Stockholm, Sweden?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to go to Kansas City again." Just sit there and do that for the 9 millionth time. So I'm all excited going over there, and it never dawned on me typical American that these people speak a completely different language. You know? And it's not even like, Spanish. I could be, hola, un perro es gris. I could, bonjour. I couldn't even fake it. And the guy opening for me was like bilingual, and he went out there in Swedish, was just Reisen, and he's fucking destroying. And I'm literally having this panic attack on Jesus Christ. I just flew like goddamn 20 hours to eat my balls in front of some of the best looking people I've ever seen in my life, right? And I go out, I went out there, and it's like I was almost afraid to speak. I was like, hey, what's going on? They just like switched it, like it just flipped the switch. They were like, hello, and then I was killing like I was in my hometown. It was unreal. But there was a couple of things when I did London, Dublin, Glasgow, Scotland. I did Stockholm, Sweden, and there was definitely a lot of sports references like soccer. They call football. They don't have kickball. There's things like that. And a couple of our chains. But the one reference that killed even harder than it killed over here was Ric Flair. Ric Flair, is that fucking big. And I was doing this bit on Tiger Woods where they were talking about his image. How's he going to redo his image? And I did this whole bit about him just become the bad boy of golf. Stop wearing the Argyle sweaters. I was like, I'd show up to the course. I wouldn't even be wearing a shirt, I'd come out there dressed like Ric Flair with this bedazzled cape. I'd have a whore for a caddy like that. The second I said Ric Flair, they went nuts. I remember, and Nia was there. She's going, I can't believe Ric Flair, it gets that big. And I was like, you don't underestimate the woo. The woo is worldwide. It's fucking worldwide. I actually watch Ric Flair videos when I'm on the road, when I'm depressed, like doing some room for the 900th time and it's still half full, and people are still getting annoyed and taking my jokes seriously.
So what?
I have a pit bull, and I don't think they're like that. That shit after a show.
Does that happen? People get angry and talk back about specifics.
Yeah, one of those things where they laugh at everything until you come around to their life. And I was doing a bit on my latest special was something. One night I was watching Oprah with my girlfriend, and of course I had to clarify that. I was sitting there watching Oprah. I was having some Pop-Tarts. And she just gave somebody an intro saying, they wrote a book, they've been in a movie, and they do the most difficult job on the planet. She does the most difficult job on the planet. She's a mother. So I just started, making fun of that whole thing on stage about, mining 24 hours a day in the center of the earth, getting buried. I'll take that in a second, over, a fucking toddler. I can't remember how the goddamn bit goes. I really shouldn't have gone into that. But basically, I was trashing mothers. And I was in a really condescending way, too.
I think putting the DVD in the DVD player was the hardest thing that a mother does all day.
Bending over at the waist, putting DVDs into DVD players. I don't know how they do it. That's right. Going to war, getting shot at by a sniper. What a joke. That's what it was. Yeah. I just kept going back and forth between that and, people on the oil rig when it blows up and you're on fire and then you have to dive into the salty ocean, bleeding. Hoping that the Coast Guard gets there before you get eaten alive by a shark. And it's like, would you rather do that?
Yeah.
Or hang out with a couple of rugrats. That was the joke. You can send them to bed anytime you want in some trumped up charges because you want to have a drink and watch The Price is Right. So that's what I would do. That's what I would say. And I talk about all the advantages. And then in the end, I would say, and then some other adult comes home and gives you money. You're like a big kid. Making grilled cheese sandwiches. And for some reason, so many single mothers couldn't get that I was talking about stay-at-home moms. I wasn't talking about,
single mothers.
Yeah, like all the
that's the
all
hardest
the
job in
moms
the world.
Exactly. All the moms of Olympic athletes. It seems. Whenever the Olympics come around, they always talk about the hard life that they have. It's always the single mom coming home and they're soaking their feet in the bowl. Right? Isn't that how it goes? And they go out and they make their own javelin out of like a mop handle. And they just to get their mom out of that fucking trailer. Isn't that what it is? Has an Olympian ever had like a privileged upbringing? That was awesome. I got my first car at 14. My dad got around that whole get a license at 16 thing. But I just loved throwing the shot put. I don't know what it was.
So when you talk about these
I'm going to try to go old school with this thing. Can you actually open it like this?
Yeah.
Was this like an intelligent test?
Boxed water.
Okay, boxed water.
Boxed water is better. I'd like to know where they get this. It's probably better for the environment, I think, is the idea. We're drinking water out of milk cartons.
You know what? I bet it's the same people who make bottled water, and they're just trying to get that hippie crowd. You know? And just to fuck us over, it's probably tap water.
But this is I have to remind myself that we're not on the Webovision, which is we have our live audience here, but it's theater of the mind, right? We're doing radio here, right?
Absolutely.
Radio
it's
podcast.
Fantastic. This is almost like NPR, you know, when they have like those radio shows where they actually have a crowd and they tell those jokes that you don't understand, and you hear that intelligent laughter. Mm-hmm. You just drive down the street feeling dumb.
Well, we're actually going to take questions at the end of the show from the audience. We have my good friend John Schneider here. He's got a microphone, but we'll at some point, if anyone has a question, just raise your hand towards the end of the show, and you can ask Bill a question. All right? Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah. Not all at once. Not all at once.
So,
see, that's why you have to occasionally look at them, or they'll start feeling like they're watching TV.
Yeah,
that just became weird there for a second, wasn't it? Just us staring at you.
I've been trying to look over at them too a little bit, to see. Yeah. So you had a paper route?
Yes, I did.
Was that fun?
Yeah, it was actually awesome. Just having money. I used to make like, $7 a week. My fucking overhead was like, 2 packs of football cards, a little bit of candy. You know what I mean? So I was rolling in it. I think I had like $60 by the time I was in the 5th grade, and it was all
a lot of
mine.
money.
It was all mine. I was a self-made man, 5th grade.
Yeah. Is that when
you bought my own bicycle?
Really?
I was, yeah. I always had money. Like, I'm not like I was rich, but like if you had $10, $20 as an 8-year-old, yeah, you pretty much owned the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I guess kids nowadays don't relate to that because you have to get iPads and. Remember we had guns, they were just sticks.
Yeah.
Remember that? You went sledding, and if you didn't have a sled, you just sort of zipped up your hoodie, and you went down on your back. Right? And the first guy who cleared the trail always fucking hit the tree, and you'd laugh your ass off.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And eventually there'd be an ice
slide.
Ice slide would form on the hill.
It was incredible.
You just go down that. And then after a while, when you'd go down the ice slide long enough, the snow would pack up at the bottom from people putting their feet in to stop themselves, and there'd be a wall. And then eventually you'd go down the ice slide and just slam into a wall at the bottom.
That was incredible.
Yeah. I grew up in Canada. I grew up in some snowy, playing hockey. Now, how you became a hockey fan in Boston? You're a big hockey fan. We're here. It seems like we're in a shrine to the Edmonton Oilers and the New Jersey Devils here at the SModCastle, because Kevin Smith is a huge hockey fan, huge Gretzky fan. But you didn't play hockey.
I was your classic public rink skater, where I could only go frontwards and skate over, crossover on one side, and I played pond hockey. I just didn't. My parents were not. They came from the Midwest, and where they lived at, like hockey, they didn't even know what it was. So to try to explain to them that they needed to spend $4,000 for equipment and get up at 5 a.m. for ice time, it just wasn't happening. So I didn't really start playing. Like now, we just messed around. We rented out, got some ice time the other day. But I'm just literally, I suck. I love the sport. I think it's one of those things you have to play as a kid.
You were a huge fan of hockey.
Huge fan.
You blog for the NHL.com occasionally.
I did that 2 years ago for the playoffs, and and actually Kevin was doing it for New Jersey, and he was fucking hilarious. But I think they got knocked out in the first round, so I was bummed about that. But the way I took the approach to blogging is there's so many sports guys breaking down the game. I knew I couldn't do it at that level, so what I did was just try to annoy the fans of the other team as much as I could, and I got all this hate mail. They never asked me to do it again, so maybe I was a little too good at it. Like I refused to call the Carolina Hurricanes. I kept calling them the Hartford Whalers because that's who they initially were, and was talking about, I don't know. I was just making fun of rednecks, I think. It got a little ugly, I believe. But I'm still a big fan.
Yeah. Well, where do you think that comes from, the desire to kind of be a shit disturber like that,
That was sort of the family I grew up in. I remember describing it one time to a therapist, and he sort of described it like Lord of the Flies, because I had like I had 4 brothers and a sister, and it was a pecking order. Like, my dad sort of fucked with all of us, right? My older brother, messed with me on down. Then I messed with, everybody beneath me. And it literally went all the way down to the dog. And, like, everybody fucked with the dog. And we had this little West Highland Terrier, and we turned it into, like, an attack dog. Like, we started off, played, like, the glove game. You took a gardener glove, you sort of mushed it in his face. Right?
It bit your face.
No, and then, eventually it did. It ended up biting too hard, so then it became like a hockey stick. Not like hard, just like you're digging for a puck in the corner. And at that point, it learned how to do that shit, where they bite and they do like that. They're trying to, like, break the neck. That's why they do that shit. And we thought it was hilarious, but then the dog started doing it to us. And one day I was fucking with it while I was eating, and it actually caught me in the face. It got me, like, I had to get stitched. My dad's a dentist, so I actually went in, and he stitched me up. And,
Your dad stitched you up? Really?
Yeah. He used to do it a lot at home, because, I don't know, I don't like talking about this shit too much, because it's a little bizarre, I think, nowadays, the way people grow up. But, yeah, this is what happened. We would get into fights, me and my brothers, and someone would end up needing stitches, and we always said the exact same lie. I was running through the woods, and I tripped. That's what we would say, and we'd always cover. Like, one time I picked a big rock up, and I threw it at my brother's head. I don't know why I did it. I sort of threw it in this direction. I didn't think it was going to hit him, and I nailed him right on top of the head. And I apologized, and he was, and then he's, what happened? I was running through the woods, and I tripped. There was a lot of that. There was no internet. There was no fucking things. There was nothing to do. My brother, I saw one time, he jumped out of a tree, and there was this stick that was pointed up in the air, and he landed on it, and for half a second was, like, impaled on it, and he looked so ridiculous. We were laughing our asses off, including him. He was laughing because he felt stupid, but then when he landed, he lifted his shirt up, he was bleeding, and then, of course, once you saw blood, you were freaking out. So then we would go in, and my dad would be like, oh, for Christ's sake, I don't need this shit, and he'd take you upstairs, and go in the bathroom, and then, like, whoever was the oldest had to, like, assist, was basically what happened. I remember I got over being queasy with head injuries, but when my brother, with his chest, there was a little bit of tissue, not to gross you out, but I almost passed out. It was fucking nasty.
I didn't realize dentists were so surgically...
No, my dad's hardcore. He was actually... Well, he just does dentistry when he's, like, that's like whittling to him. No, he used to work on babies with cleft palates. That was the funny thing about my dad. So by the time he got home, his patience, it was over. So, I mean, he was like sort of Mike Ditka meets like a bookworm, because he was like a really smart guy, but he definitely had a level of intensity that you didn't mess with. He's a great guy. Got to throw that in. I always get nervous, because when you talk about this shit, either people come up and like, dude, that's hilarious, my dad was just like it, or you get these people like, oh my God, he sounded like a monster. He's like, no, he's a shit. Took us to church every week, made Sunday breakfast, taught me how to drive when I was like 12, back when malls weren't open on Sunday, and we'd go down there. He taught me on a stick.
Yeah, we're about the same age. I wanted to ask you what your
53.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, don't
42.
Tell her. Yeah.
42.
I just turned 39, and I was going to ask you what your favorite thing was about growing up in the 70s. Because when you mentioned playing in the woods and getting impaled on sticks and not having the internet, these are the kinds of things that I did growing up in Canada. Yeah, the games.
Like, I remember when it rained out, there was this, we lived on a busy street, and there was this area that this big puddle would just sort of build. And when it get to a certain level, my mother was fine with it. We'd go out with T-shirts and our shorts, and we would walk, and we would stand on the side of the road and point at it as motorists came by. And these people would drive their cars to 5, like, basically toddlers to, like, a 9-year-old. Like, God knows if it's too deep, it might make you drive over. They didn't give a fuck. It was the 70s, and they would just drive into it, and all this dirty puddle water would wash over us, and my mother would fucking hose us down outside, dry us off, and then we'd have dinner. That's one thing I actually, looking back, was great about the 70s, was I was allowed to have a childhood. I was allowed, like, all this shit wasn't, I mean, occasionally someone would get a dirty magazine and it would be like this unreal thing. But, like, when I was a kid, thought, right up until, like, the age of, like, 10 or 11, I thought, like, where I put it in, I thought it was right in front on a female. I thought it was literally, it didn't make any sense that where it is. I mean, it makes sense now, but just I had no idea. But now... If I knew what to click as a 3-year-old, I could just hit images.
Yeah.
And see it, right?
The innocence is gone.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And now we're kind of told, I would think people are more told what they're supposed to do for fun now. Like you have to go out and be a little more creative back in the 70s, kind of invent things.
And you could they just open the door and you could go outside, and there was no worry of any sort of, like, anything was going to... That's what I remember. My mother would just... She worked the late shift, and she would open the door... And she would just send us outside and then would literally ring a dinner bell for us to come in. And we would just, we did all sorts of shit that she had, rode our bikes to McDonald's one time on the side of the highway. She had no idea. Like a fucking, like a 9 and a 7-year-old. And nobody stopped. People just kept going. Like there was really no... I don't know. I think it would be all of that. And I actually noticed there was a couple of things that I touched on the Dirty Magazine. You had a killer bit on that. A couple of those things. Yeah, we definitely grew up in the same.
Yeah, I like to talk about that a bit because it's. I think we're entering a scary time here. Do you have a Facebook page?
Yes, I do, and I try to just do. I just try to put out information. I just recently got on Twitter because I'm kind of like that old man. When it comes to technology, like, why do things have to change? I'm always like bitching about, going from MySpace to Facebook, adding the same fucking 5,000 douchebags. Like these, is this a new hip segment of fucking people? These are the same people. And I don't know. It's like, it's becoming a job. That's the one thing that, like, I love being a comedian. I had no fucking job and I did whatever I wanted. I went to movies in the middle of the day. And like the other day, like my podcast right now, for some reason, isn't on iTunes, and I had to figure that out, and I got my web guy, and I'm sitting in front of my laptop for like 3 hours. It's like, I might as well be in a fucking cubicle. This is not why I got into this. And now I just Twitter things about shows, and I was like, dude, your Twitters really aren't that funny. It's like, dude, I got to fucking dance for you all day long for free in hopes that maybe you're going to come out to my show? Go fuck yourself. Get a goddamn life. This is what I have going on, you fucking loser. Which is not what you're supposed to be doing with the internet. You're supposed to be embracing these people, going, hey, man, download my shit for free.
Yeah.
So I think Lars was right. Everybody who gave him shit, he was totally right. Anybody wants to groan at that shit, look at what's happening in music.
From Metallica?
Yeah, look at what's happened in music in the last 10 years. 10 years of us stealing fucking music. This is what we're left with. I don't even know what the fuck is out there anymore. It's just, that dude with the bowl haircut. It's like boy bands make it through.
Mm-hmm. It's all become, homogenized, commercialized. Yeah. It's, yes, I know exactly what you're saying about the Twitter because I've had the same comment because, I've been traveling around this year and I just sort of say, yeah, I'm in San Francisco tonight. Yeah. And, that's all I've really been saying is where I am, really. And people have been not too happy with me about that. They want jokes. They want free jokes, right? Yeah. They just want you're writing for their show that they're not paying you for. You're like a staff writer on these people's show. Immediate. But it's great exposure, though. It's great exposure. Yeah. Right? Now, what about tech? That's what this business is. It's just becoming. You get paid in exposure. Yeah, I don't know. And we're talking. No, we don't talk to anybody anymore with the texting. Do you text? Are you a big texter? Do you like that, or? I wish I would text more because I get worried about the brain cancer thing. One of the lines I use when people are texting during my show, especially young people, I say how this entire generation is going to die of thumb cancer. Just from sitting there. I mean, it gives off radiation, right? I know. I don't have a science background. You should have just stared at me. That was the exact right response to that. All right, Bill, we'll go with that. I wonder if we want to take a question from one of our audience members. That might be a fun thing to try, see if it works. Does anyone have a question? Raise your hand. And we got one. John, we got questions. You walk up to him with the microphone. John Schneider is here.
Question over
This
there.
is really reminding me of
Do
just
this
the old.
like the old school. Come on over here.
I kind of
Hi, guys.
envisioned
Hey,
the
John,
old
how are you?
Steve Allen
Good show,
radio
man.
show.
I think it's been all right.
Here we go.
You mentioned your unruly crowd in Philly and how you dealt with it by attacking everything they love. Do you have any other advice for a young comedian dealing with hecklers?
Yeah, just I think it's a great exercise to not have a stock line. For those of you who aren't comedians, like this, the stock lines, like, hey, I don't come down to your job and slap the dicks off your mother's face. Whatever the hell you're supposed to say. Yeah, would you fucking jerk someone off in a helicopter factory with the fucking yelling over there? I think it's better to just sit in the moment and just really take in the person, look at them, and just try to figure out what's, just when you start off, just think of the meanest possible fucking thing you can say to them.
Would you do me the honor of taking me in right now and telling me how you deal with me? How would you?
I'd probably attack your lips. Your lips bug me. You got a big annoying mouth that I don't like. I bet if you were on a first date, you'd probably order spaghetti, and your fucking date would be all. I'd go that route. I would just be like, But then there's the other thing. You got to make sure. The thing that I learned, another Jim Norton prop here. What I learned from Jim Norton is I learned that not everybody talking during your show is necessarily saying something malicious. They could have just been leaning over and going, oh, you do something like that. And I used to just chop everybody's head off because I was so afraid of being humiliated. It was all fear-based. So someone would be like, oh, my God, you do that. I'd be, hey, lady, why don't you shut the fuck up, And then after the show, they'd come out, I was just saying I liked it. And then you felt like an asshole. So I learned to try to, try to do that. But that's what I would do. Just try to take them, because then you'll actually, you'll say something unique. It'll make the other comics laugh, which will make you feel good. And then also start, the biggest process is becoming present while you're doing it, rather than being in robot mode. I am doing my jokes. My dad was crazy, There you go. I could answer that in 30 seconds.
Let's take one more question.
I have a question for both of you, actually. How much of your material do you write beforehand, before you go on stage, and how much of it do you wing while you're up there and in the moment? And I mean, I know, like for you, Tom, on your show, you interacted with people live a lot.
Uh-huh.
How much of that do you have to plan ahead, and how much of it do you just come off the cuff?
You want to answer first, Bill?
Yeah, he was
Now it's
talking to
feeling
you.
like
He was
the
talking to
moon
you, man.
landing press conference now.
Do you think
be
that,
Neil Armstrong, I'll be Buzz Aldrin.
in the first 5 minutes of your set, was there anything you felt like you would have done differently? Do you take any responsibility for how this? Sorry, I'm just trying to continue with the.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
dryness.
this is the first year I've really done this sort of going on the road as full time like this. So this is kind of been an exciting year for me. I don't know if I'm 100% doing it right now, but I try to write it all out first, and then I go back and forth, in and out of bits, just depending on where the wind takes me. But for the most part, I'm pretty scripted yet at this point. Yeah, Bill.
I started off scripted. I had everything worked out, and then I started more to write on stage, and now that's kind of how I do it. And it's a combination of being comfortable and laziness. So there's so many nights I've gone on stage with just, Christ, you cooked the shit out of it, and I'll just say it, and nobody laughs, and then I'll get mad at the crowd because I didn't do my work, at home. So, but I find a lot of. Yeah, like my last two specials were all written on stage. I don't really think I have any of it written down anywhere.
Really?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Wow.
So I go up there and I just.
How do you remember it all?
What do I do? I think I just write. You know what? It becomes like it's like if, I always compare it to breaking. If you broke your arm, if you did it, some sort of whatever, you go to, dude, what happened to your arm? And you tell it, and you kind of have a funny way of telling it. And then you sort of remember the funny way you told it, and then the next time somebody, dude, what happened to your arm? You tell the story again, and you keep embellishing the funnier. If you want to tell it in a funny way, you just keep embellishing the funnier parts, and then it just it's this story that you know how it goes and where the funny parts are, and then eventually you get tired of telling the story. When the 18th guy comes up, how'd you break your arm? You're like, dude, I fucking fell down. All right, enough already. Let's drink. And that's when it's time to, either document the joke by recording it or just sort of getting rid of it,
And now you have your comedy special, Let It Go.
Let it go. Yep.
Is coming out on Comedy Central.
It's out on DVD as of today, October 5th. If this airs today, October 5th.
And that was it actually airs today?
No.
This airs
no,
today. Are we on the air right now? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're actually doing this too. Yeah, this airs tomorrow. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I believe
yesterday,
if we figured out how to plug it all in properly, we were having some technical.
And since my last special came out, I already didn't even know how to tweet. I was like, it's available now in stores. And I'm like, well, what fucking stores sell DVDs anymore? There's like 5 left. So I had to you can download it on iTunes and Amazon.com if you want to get I came up with hard copy. Did that sound official? If you actually want to hold it. I try to sell people to actually buy the DVD. Like it's having like the gold behind your money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because back in the day, if your stereo shit the bed, you didn't lose your whole record collection. Where now, if your computer shits the bed, you lose your music. You lose everything. You got to start. It's like a fucking tornado back in the day, hitting some farmer's house.
I did.
Isn't it? It was sort of that was a laughing like, yeah, that example really didn't make sense.
I did want to talk about the gold standard tonight as well with you, because I know you have a lot of strong feelings about that.
I'd love to.
But I also wanted to ask you a little bit more about playing in San Francisco at the Fillmore Theater and what the audiences are like there, because I was actually just in San Francisco yesterday and had a great time. And it's a big comedy town. Is that why you chose to do your special in San Francisco?
Yeah, I'm aside being a huge comedy fan, I'm a huge music fan, and I played drums on and off. I really got back into it in the last 4 or 5 years, but I played drums before I did stand-up, and I just, John Bonham and all that whole era of basically music that went through the Fillmore and Bill Graham and all that, and I'm really I like history, I like all that stuff, and I get a kick out of being on stages where those guys were actually there. So the Fillmore, I remember in maybe it was 3-4 years into my career, HBO did a series of half hours at the Fillmore. It was all comedians that I for the most part looked up to, and I just was like, God, that's something I want to do someday. So when the opportunity came, I just jumped at it, and it was an unbelievable night. Probably one of the best nights I've had doing stand-up. It's just those great San Francisco crowds and the historic look of the building, and my family and friends were sitting in Bill Graham's box where he used to sit up there and watch Hendrix or whoever the hell was playing there. So it was pretty awesome. Yeah. And they made me a poster too, which was great.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible looking theater.
Yeah.
Giant chandeliers and beautiful looking place. It must have been exciting. So when this is out now, when you do a special like that, is it because if you do a lot of improvising and in your act, is it hard to encapsulate everything you do when you're on the road all into one show? How do you do that?
A little bit, but what I try to do when I do a special is I try to just pretend I'm in front of a comedy club crowd, and I just pretend like if I'm just doing a show and I blow a joke, I don't give a shit. But all of a sudden you're doing a special, and then you give a shit, and I think that affects your performance. And I think if you screw it up a little bit, it's okay, as long as people are laughing, and it adds this element of this is actually happening in real time. It makes you present, and I kind of have a couple of tricks that I do to try to forget that they're filming it. You know what I mean? And most of that involves improvising.
Like when they threw the bottle cap on this. When you took the bottle cap off and kicked it off the stage?
Yeah, like somebody should have had that off, and they didn't. Uh-huh. And then that happened, and I just was, well, fuck it. What would I do if I was in a club? I'd just go with it. So I went with it, riffed, and it worked out. And then after that, I just felt like I was just doing a set. So, yeah.
What is there a difference between playing a theater and a club, like as far as the way you project or look at the crowd?
No, not really. But you definitely feel more. I love it. I love performing live so much. I'm like I said, I'm a nerd. I love comedy clubs. I love theaters. Like I find out the history of them. Like I did the Improv in San Jose. I found out the whole history of that, and I found out Charlie Chaplin played there back in the day. Like those old theaters are amazing because they have this whole arc of history where when they first were made, there were these unbelievably beautiful things that people dressed up and wore suits to go see movies and shit. And then, it starts getting to the Vietnam era and it becomes like a porno house and people were jerking off. And then they were just about ready to knock it down. And then some old guilty rich person decided that the one decent thing that they were going to do was fucking revive the goddamn thing. And,
or the Wilbur Theater in Boston,
Yeah.
where didn't Marlon Brando used to live there? Is
Yeah,
that right?
Marlon Brando in the green room where I was at actually used to sleep there when he was a starving artist. He used to crash, and it's I don't know, that stuff. I absolutely love it. So I actually have a list of my favorite comedians and where they tape their specials, and I went on the internet to see which theaters still exist. And I that's like the bucket list as far as me as a comedian. I want to perform at those.
So who are your favorite comedians?
Obviously, Richard Pryor. That's pretty much everybody's. But I liked everybody growing up, from Cheech and Chong, Foster Brooks, the whole Rat Pack guys. My dad was all into that stuff, so I got to watch that, and then I got to watch, George Carlin was huge, and then into the '80s, Sam Kinison was my guy. I love Sam Kinison, and I was a huge Seinfeld fan. I liked it all. I really had an appreciation for someone like Seinfeld. I just thought was absolutely brilliant. There was so many people just doing observational material, but just not anywhere near, I felt, the level that he was doing. It was so fresh, and he just cut through everybody. And there was a ton of guys. And I saw Eddie Murphy on the Raw tour. I actually started going. I saw him, and I remember I had lawn seats. He was so big, and he was wearing that he was like this big, in that little blue suit way down there. And the Weather Girls opened up. I remember they sang "It's Raining Men," and he somehow came out and made fun of how they're so fat that they fucked up the stage, and he had to make sure if it was okay. That was his first. That was hilarious. I saw Rodney Dangerfield coming right off the Back to School when that thing took off. I saw him. And I saw George Carlin. And actually, this is how ignorant I was. Me and my buddy, we didn't know anything about stand-up. We actually went there to laugh at him, thinking that he was going to still be doing more stuff. Like, he was just this old guy. We're like, we'll go down and see him, because we were these cocky assholes who were, who somehow knew all about comedy at 18. And we went down there, and he fucking blew us out of our seats. We couldn't believe he came with did like an hour and a half and just fucking destroyed. And it was the edgiest shit I had seen live up until that point. And saw him at the Cape Cod Melody Tent, and it was just like, I didn't get it. I didn't get like that the level of master that I was going to see that night. And by the end of it, I was like, we would driving home drunk, just sitting, because that's what you did in the '80s. It was acceptable, just going like, God damn it, man, that guy. We were speechless. We were actually, it's so embarrassed. We were going there making fun, more stuff. We just kept laughing, like, whatever, it'll be a goof. We'll go see this guy. And we went and we drove home absolutely fucking speechless. Like, that guy is a beast.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so then, what was it like touring with Charlie Murphy, Eddie's brother? Right? You went on was that fun? You and Dave Chappelle.
No, it was me, Charlie Murphy, and Donnell Rawlings, who played Ashy Larry. It was, Chappelle show was just taking off, and that I'm Rick James bitch sketch took off, and we were just like, we got to do a tour. People want to come see us. Charlie's the biggest star, and Charlie had never done stand-up. So it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. He went on the road as Eddie Murphy's brother. So they already had that level of expectation. And he went out and learned how to do stand-up. We would have him host, and he would go out and do like, he'd just go out and go, Charlie Murphy, and everyone would laugh. He'd do a couple other things. This is like the first couple of dates. And then I'd come out and do like 40, and then Charlie would come back out and be like, yeah, Charlie Murphy, and do a couple more of those. And then Donnell would come out and do another 40, and that would be the fucking show. And everybody was happy because I got to see Charlie. But he was on the road 6 weeks, and he was doing 50 minutes. And I learned something watching this brand new guy going, wow, if I had no act, if I fucking had to, I could write 50 minutes. That's doable, because I'm seeing this brand new guy do it. And he went from just hosting the shows, saying Charlie Murphy, to having formed bits, to killing, to by the end of it, he was headlining it, because he was the biggest name. He just didn't have the material. So it was, I learned, it was amazing. I learned, more in that year from any other comedian. What the fuck am I trying to say here? I learned more from Charlie Murphy than I did from any other comedian. He was fucking brand new. That's what I was trying to say.
That's cool. That's cool.
Jesus, I got to stop talking on my cell phone. See that? And that never used to happen. I literally I don't know if I get bored with myself or just completely lose train of thought. It's one or the other.
Yeah. Now, the Chappelle show, that must have been a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
You guys probably want to hear some stories about behind the scenes of the Chappelle show, I bet, right? Yeah.
I don't know how many I got. I was kind of one level above the craft service guy. I mean, I was in like 5 sketches, but the writing was just absolutely superior. And what I remember about that show, I just remember how cool the environment was. And Dave was all about improvising. And I remember being like all timid, like, Dave, I'm kind of thinking of saying this. Is this okay? He's like, yeah, man, if it's funny, throw it in. I don't care. And it was unreal. It was an unbelievable experience that came and went really quickly. I was only on the 2nd season, and that was it.
Yeah, all the clips are on YouTube though. There's a Bill Burr Chappelle show YouTube video with every one of your clips all edited together.
What is that, like together. 37 seconds long?
I don't know if they're all. I watched about 4 of them today though. The one where you guys are the sportscasters, the one where you're the cop interrogating the guy and putting the cigarette butt out in his forehead.
That was my favorite one to do because I was in all these different scenes. I got to be a real asshole. And just the lines that I had. And then she threw her titties in my hand. People still to this day ask me to say that. Like, can you say that? Can you just say that? Just like, yeah, absolutely.
Pull the heroin out of your pocket and
oh yeah,
on the
yeah. Well, I remember when they did the Rick James sketch when they were just editing it. They did it like 10 blocks up from me, and Neil Brennan called me up, going, "You got to come up and look at this. I don't think we can top this." And it was just one of those things where I just went in and I watched it, and it was an absolute dying laughing, and then it just became awe at like how brilliant. The whole concept that they just heard Charlie telling those stories, and just I still don't know how they got away with that. Like they just did a whole episode of his stories of doing drugs and fucking around with Rick James. Man, it was amazing.
I'm Rick James, bitch. Right?
That's right.
We have another question from the audience. How about? Let's see. Does anyone else have a question? There we go. We got another question here.
There you go.
MMA charity event. You have to fight one celebrity. Who is it?
Is that for both of us? Or MMA?
You have to fight a celebrity.
I'd fight Beyonce. Because her voice annoys me, and she's one of the few celebrities I think I could actually beat, Unless she got low. She's got that big ass. Just fucking drive right over me.
All right.
A lot of Beyonce fans out here, huh? You like that? You like how she just punishes you by saying the same thing 58 times in a song? If you like that, man, put a ring on it. If you like that, man, 20 minutes later. If you like that, man, put it. I got it. I'll buy it. Just shut up. Oh, fucking horrific. Fucking horrific.
I'll buy it.
Horrific.
I'll say Avril Lavigne. Yeah, I don't know if I actually really mean that, though, to be honest with you.
I meant the Beyonce thing.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm fucking...
So I did.
I maybe Glenn Beck. Not even because of his political move. Just to hear, just to punch that fat belly. You know what? I don't like how he fucking went out and did... He disrespected stand-up. I'd fight him. Take Beyonce off the table.
Glenn Beck did?
Yeah, he did. He was talking about how he was going on this stand-up tour, and he just was sort of like going like, I'm not going to be out there, going, what's up with airline food, right? He goes, I'm going to, be doing something, like more like storytelling with some punchlines at the end of it, just something different. It's like, yeah, you got to tell Bill Cosby about that style. Maybe he could polish up some of the shit that he does. You fucking arrogant ass. Yeah. Oh.
So you change yours to Glenn Beck, and I'll go for Bill O'Reilly. The only problem with Bill O'Reilly is he'd probably beat the crap out of me. So
he'd be dirty.
Yeah, that's why I said Avril Lavigne.
He'd be like Bill Romanowski. He would just do something of newscasters.
So the gold standard, conspiracy theories. Is this something that you talk about on your podcast a lot?
I got psycho into that, and it became overwhelming. And first there was 2 things. The only people who would listen to me were like other conspiracy theorists, and they would be so excited about their conspiracy theories that they wouldn't even listen to me. They just have their eyebrows up near their hairline going, dude, you know what else they got? You know what else they got? And they want to, and it just it was just a complete moron conversation most of the time. And then other than that, I just got tired of people looking up from their potato skins, just being like, what are you, one of them conspiracy theorists? And just, just dismissing, like I was saying there was a man on the moon. Like what I was really into was just banking, how I just really feel it's legalized loan sharking. And I just think they're completely out of control, and that the only way I don't get this shit taxed out of me is if I'm 30 years in debt to you. You're just going to... I just don't... There's no way to make... I don't get how you make fucking money. How do you get past a certain point, honestly, unless in this country, unless you have a hit song or you invent like that what's that little balance wrist bracelet thing that guy, he's trying to convince people that they don't know how to stand up? And you sell it for $19.95. You've seen it? It's fucking...
What is? No, I don't know what that is.
These people just like, they're standing there and they're acting like they can't stand up, and then they put this fucking bracelet on. They're like, oh my God, it's amazing. That is amazing. Because I think they're out of ideas, out of ways to scam people, that they're just coming up with bullshit. Like, I have a cold, and someone wraps like a magic curtain around. Oh my God, I can breathe. This is amazing. The magic curtain, $19.95.
I heard you actually purchased an actual ShamWow.
ShamWow, I did, and it sucked. It would sort of push the water around, and then I realized I was using it the wrong way. You got to get it wet first, for some fucked up reason. Wring it out, and then it absorbs it, but then it's wet. So the floor at the end of the day is still wet, and then you got to take a paper towel and finish it off. The paper towel still has to come in like Mariano Rivera and just fucking close it out. So, but I mean, you do cut down on your amount of paper towels. But I mean, one that did live up to the hype was that Set It and Forget It. I bought that one. That was the shit. When I was a single guy, I would just fucking throw a chicken in there, and it was just like you could just walk away.
I don't know what that is. What is that? I don't know.
You took a whole chicken, you stuck it in this rotisserie, you set it. Yeah, that's what happened, right? And you just walked away. I always wanted to talk to
come back and eat it at some point.
Yeah, but I love.
Come back a week later.
Oh fuck! I had a goose in there. God damn it! It went bad. Yeah, we were really flaunting how much food we have in this country. Stick it in there and walk away. But yeah, it totally worked, man. It was awesome. But the thing on top where it was supposed to steam the vegetables, that thing never fucking worked. But down below, it cooked the hell out of that chicken, and then you cut it up. You had a great sandwich. No, I liked it. I really got into how fucked up food is. Like when you go in and you go, let me get a slice, some turkey slices, and there's just that fucking basketball of turkey, and you're trying to be like what part of the body is that? Like, is it really that round? I thought it had more of a sort of like motorcycle, like gas tank shape to it, right? With legs coming out of it, and it doesn't. It's just this round, and everything's the exact same round. Yeah. And they just sort of fucking send all these turkeys through like a wood chipper, and then they just stick it together like turkey Play-Doh.
They should have just poured it into a motorcycle gas tank.
There you go.
As the mold.
Oh, that's what they're doing. I'll tell you what else they're doing. I got a whole conspiracy on that. Yeah, so I got into that. I was like, yeah, fuck that. I want to eat like a chicken that looks like a chicken. And then I found out all this shit about how like people like chicken breasts, so they inject them with all these steroids to the point that their chest is so big they can't even walk. They take like 2 steps and fall down. And then, I don't know. You guys watch like that show, like The First 48? Or like also those cold case files where they're digging these bodies up from like 1987, and it looks like the guy was just asleep on the couch. He's like so full of preservatives. Like it takes so long for us to break down. I should have said the preservative thing first, and then the couch thing, and then that would have you would have understood what I was saying there.
I wanted to know about the ShamWow, if you bought it before or after his legal troubles.
Oh, look.
And if that had any influence on you.
No, I don't care what someone does in their personal life. You're out there biting hookers. I don't give a shit. It's like, if you can clean up the mess and I can use less paper towels, I'm killing it on both sides. Where he's in the process of eliminating human beings with his after-hour behavior, which will cut down on the traffic and greenhouse gases. on my side, I'm using his product and cutting down on paper towels.
Yeah.
No, I'm big on we have enough people.
Yeah.
So
Overpopulation. And now are you planning on having children yourself someday then?
Yeah, I'll probably end up doing it. But like I feel because I waited till I'm like 42 to do it. Yeah, I know, distracting, right? Till I'm 42 is speaking of 42.
And we have an audience member here who's distracting. Yeah,
it's very well endowed.
Yeah. Have it.
Just standing up, have a seat.
Just grab a seat.
The St. Pauli girl is here, everybody. Could you please, at some point, just serve me 2 huge mugs of beer? Can we? That should be the end of this. She just comes in. The Tom Green Podcast, good for North America.
Yeah. But we were talking about having children, though.
Yeah, I think it's the fact, I waited till I was 42. I'll be dead by the time they're in the 6th grade, so I'll be out of the way, right? The problem is people have them so young that you're continuing to be here. It's like you're done. You did it. You recreated life. You taught it how to walk.
Do you think it'll?
No, I do think I should get a tax break for not having any fucking kids and adding to that stuff on the 405.
Do you think when you have kids, if you have kids or when you have kids, you'll change your material on stage? Is it going to affect the way you?
No, I won't. They just won't be allowed to watch my act. Yeah. What become that unfunny? That's one of my big fears. Is like as far as like parents, how they immediately. I know it changes you, but I just I don't want to be that person who's like if somebody curses and I'm that person like excuse me, I have my kid here. The amount of times I've said fuck on this podcast to me would just really be hypocritical.
Cool.
Jesus, Dwayne Allman's here. So you got a whole celebrity.
Well, this is cool. Well, why don't we have a few more questions from the audience here?
Dwayne Allman just came in from Iceland.
From Iceland, okay.
Your friend Gus.
I want to ask.
How are you? We know we've met before.
I want to ask you a question. Can I ask a question about Iceland? That's okay. As far as like your economy, everything crashed and everything. Was there rioting in the streets when that happened? Like
No,
how much were people
actually,
freaking out?
No rioting, just a bunch of wimps. No rioting, just banging pots.
That's it? Like literally banging pots?
Honestly,
You telling?
literally nothing. No rioting, nothing.
No, nothing.
No.
Well, that's actually comforting to me. Like maybe I'll go to because I'm worried like when the shit hits the fan.
I don't think that'll happen in L.A.
You don't think so? No, not at all. I think LA is very reasonable. I think the way we've handled stuff in the past, I just like how everybody's just sort of homogenized. I don't feel like people are separated out here. I just feel like everybody is just on the same page.
When the economy implodes, L.A. will have more than banging pots, I suppose, right?
I think so. I think it's gonna be like Escape from New York, where there's gonna be gangs and people coming up out of the fucking manholes. Like zombies.
Chud.
Yeah.
Chud. Cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
I couldn't remember what that was. That was one of the early days of cable, man. That was awesome. Yeah, because I actually thought about getting like, powdered food and like just actually starting to stock up provisions. And then I just realized that when you do something like that, all you're really doing is just stocking shit up for the toughest guy on your block. Because he's really just going to come down and take it. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a comedian. I want to get a gun, though. I really do. I'm just terrified of them, but I think you're crazy not to have one. I don't know, just this country's fucking bank. I don't get how ketchup isn't $900 a bottle right now. I don't get it as far as like looking at how,
A good thing to do is sprinkle some some spent shotgun shells on the porch in front of your house.
That's great, yeah. I just want to wave it around. Just be that guy,
Anyone else with a question for Bill? Anybody? I have more, but if anyone else wants to ask one, go ahead, yeah. What's your name, sir? Ken. How did you find out about the podcast tonight?
About it.
Oh, Jesus.
Hello. I found out about it on SModCastle.com.
All right, good.
There we go.
I'm married. I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Nice.
And I'm from...
You did it.
I'm
That's
not
awesome. You got to tell me that's the Tom Arnold situation back in the day. I want to do that. How many times a week do you have French toast? That's what I would do. I just do it up with the cinnamon and everything and just watch cartoons.
It's a lot of waffles and peanut butter. Not
Oh,
much
it's
French
got to be
toast.
awesome.
And I'm also from Philly. And
Okay.
my question for you is, what comedians out there today, young
Sorry, we're working the
Excuse
bugs
me.
out. It's the first week.
young famous comedians out there that are teaching you absolutely nothing? Like, who are your least favorite people out there working? Is
See,
that
classic
taboo?
Philly question. Classic. And that's right there. I'm glad you asked that because that's the real reason why I was able to turn it around in Philly. It wasn't even what I said. It's just what they respond to. They would almost rather have you go out there and tell them to go fuck themselves and say horrific shit about them. This guy's all right. I like this guy. Then you actually do your act. And that, right, you know, you can tell he's the intelligent fucking Philly guy. He actually moved away, but he still has that fungus of that town in him. Like, I've heard all the happy shit. What's the stuff you don't like? I'm not gonna. I would never name names, but I would just say one of the things I don't like pandering. I would say that. I mean, if you're actually a nice guy and you have a nice guy act, it doesn't bug me, and I think that that's needed. You can't have everybody be doing the same act, but I hate acts that you're just clearly spoon feeding the audience exactly what they want to hear, and yeah, I hate the comedian only slightly more than the crowd for not realizing that that's what they're doing. You know? I mean, come on, ladies, all right? Because guys, we're dumb, right, ladies? Huh? Like doing that shit. You're like, ugh, I just want to fucking... Seriously, like comedians, the shit we say in the back of the club when someone like that is up there, like, dude, how much can we just go up there and just fucking tackle them? Right in the middle of it and just start strangling them with the cord. We, you know, just stuff like that. So I would just say that type of, you know, that type of act is something that I don't care for.
What are some of your feelings about? Because you don't seem to do I may be wrong about this, but you don't seem to do a lot of material about this tabloid culture we're living in. These like with people like Mel Gibson. I saw a video online of you ranting about Mel Gibson. This is where I'm trying to go to, but I saw a video of you on the Bostonist.com of you ranting about the Mel Gibson situation, and I was wondering if you could do that again.
Oh, I got to remember, the reason why I actually do that tabloid shit when I'm putting together a new hour.
Yeah.
If I already have an hour material, I stay away from it because everyone's going to be talking about it, unless I feel like I just really have a unique take on it, or I just sick of my act and I want to say something differently. But what the hell did I say? I was annoyed that they tried to make Mel's wife at the time, or whatever the fuck she was, like she was this victim. Like she just discovered he was a racist. It's like it's been documented for 5 years, you know, and the joke I was doing is like, you know, really, like that's the first time you ever heard him say shit like that. Like, you know, it's not like, you know, he wasn't walking around your house, you know, stubbing his toe going, Jews, you know, and like all that was fine when he was paying for everything. And then all of a sudden, once he's not paying for shit, then all of a sudden you can't take it. And it just was, you know, obviously I don't condone what the guy said, but it's just, you could see what was going on. He fucked up. He left his wife and he went out with a gold digging whore. That's what he was with. And like, you can't, that's what I don't like about nowadays. You can't say shit like that. She's a gold digging whore. Even though any woman, I would think, if you had 7 kids with a guy and you're right in the beginning of like 50, 55, he drops you for some 39, 40-year-old. And if your friend said, who did he leave you for? What would you say? He left me for that gold digging whore. Wouldn't you? Do you really think that that's her dream boat? Some 59-year-old guy with his fucking silver pubes crawling all over you? That's who she wants? Right? You're married for money. You're married for fucking money. And it was all good until the money ran out. And now you're trying to act like you're a goddamn angel and a victim. And I don't buy that he punched a baby. He had 7 opportunities with his first wife to punch a baby, and he never fucking did it. And that's just, you know, I saw a stat one time. If you don't punch a baby by the time you're 41, the odds of that happening are it literally drops off. It was something along those lines. So
yes.
The latest guy I've been making fun of was the guy with the I'm gonna burn the Quran guy, and but that one, you know.
The preacher.
Yeah, it only has so much legs.
The pastor, the preacher,
yeah,
and the pastor.
And that was another one, like how no one just addressed the fact that this guy was a complete moron who had like 11 followers. It's like the guy's at church in the middle of a swamp. It's like, why don't you just let him do it and you don't film it?
Yeah.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
And then he fucking burns down his church and melts his Billy Bass or whatever the hell he's going to do. And we just get on with their lives. But they actually make this guy the international spokesperson for this country for like 5 fucking, I'm going to burn the fucking Quran. And then people in Afghanistan, they're burning flags. It's the exact reason why I'm not into organized religion. They're fucking morons. I'm not saying that there's not anything bigger than us or that created us, but nobody alive knows what it is. So shut up already. And I just, no, it isn't. Like, I really believe that like science is religion for intelligent people, and that yeah, and religion is science for morons, because when science can't explain something, they go in the lab, they do experiments, they try to prove it. If this is this, then this is this. That didn't work out, and then they only announce shit when they have proof. And when religion can't prove, they just make up shit. There was this guy, and he was walking on water, talking to a bush, and a leper ran by, and he said, "He who fucking somethingeth." It's stupid. The philosophy is great, you know, do unto others, but they really don't live it that way. So, I'm not saying it, but I respect people. Like, I actually enjoy going to church, believe it or not. I like the beginning part, sitting there and just being quiet and reminding myself not to be a complete piece of shit over the next week and maybe try to be a decent human being. That's the part I like. But when the asshole priest comes out and just starts coming with the guilt, like I went on Super Bowl Sunday, right? I dressed up, I wore a suit and everything, right? And he shows up, right? The first thing he says, his opening line of his performance is, he goes, "Well, I want to thank all you guys for coming out here. I see you came here early to get it out of the way so you could watch the big game." Immediately came with the guilt. It's like the game doesn't come on till 3:30. What, do you got a 3 o'clock mass? You don't. How about we made time for this? And immediately I was just like, you know what? Fuck this guy. And I didn't listen to him for the rest of his sermon.
How do you see a moment like that? And I mean, obviously this is what you do, but how do you, when you're observing and pulling these things out that make you angry, how do you recognize that is a fun? This is a serious question, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, well, you know what it is the reality is it's not funny when it's happening. I'm actually seriously mad. And then I just tell the story at night cathartically, and everybody laughs with me, and then I guess that's when I should have said it was cathartic, right? I just used a word I didn't really understand.
Because a lot of people would be there.
You ever do that? You've just heard people use it enough times, you kind of know where to slip it in, but you jump through, you go 3 words too early.
Do you find doing stand-up
capitulate?
cathartic?
I want to use that word so fucking bad, but I don't know how to. I know it means you abandoned your argument, but the only way my brain will process it is you just capitulated your argument. So I'm saying you abandoned your argument. If I stick it in like that, right?
I don't think I know what capitulate means, actually.
It'd be like if you and I were having an argument, right?
Yeah.
And we're arguing about whether the Federal Reserve should be audited or not. Right? And then you make a great point, and I can't refute it. And I'd be like, you know what, Tom? You're just a bearded fucking asshole. Right? Right there, I capitulated. I completely abandoned my argument, and now I'm just.
Oh, okay, good. Like a distraction.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of like how I'm just going to burn all my new material in my act. I can't fucking do this.
Yeah.
All right.
Where are you off to next? How long have we been on for, by the way, at this point? Are you serious?
2 hours. Oh, my God. Your asses must be falling asleep.
Wow. Okay.
Jesus, without a break?
I didn't want to ask earlier because I honestly do not want to stop talking to you, Bill. This has been a hilarious
well, let's
night.
Let's go out and booze.
Yeah.
Let's go get some Molson, right? You're Canadian.
Maybe we should go get a beer. But I just couldn't have asked for a greater first guest of a better time tonight. Let's have a hand for Bill Burr, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I got to tell all your listeners, I actually saw Tom perform stand-up. It's become a love fest here. I saw him perform stand-up. We have a mutual representative in our cruise here, and he said, you got to come out and check him out. And I didn't know what to expect. And that bit you have on Facebook is one of my favorite bits out right now. The way you just, he turns that little idea into like this 7-minute thing that completely makes sense. It was awesome. I stopped being a comedian when I was watching. I was just sitting there enjoying it like a fan, man. Well, so
you're very,
it was
very
awesome.
kind. I appreciated you come to the show in Montreal at the Comedy Festival, and you said so many nice things about it.
Yeah. If this was videotape, we'd actually hug right now.
Yeah.
But thank God we're not. All right.
So we'll fist
thank
bump.
you. Yeah, and thank you for the square milk or whatever you call this, boxed water.
No problem. Let everybody go to BillBurr.com. Check out his website. Where are you up?
Only she gets. My girlfriend realizes how stupid my brain is. I was trying to remember what this is called. It's boxed water. I called it squared milk because my brain's like, milk carton, square, liquid, squared milk, capitulate.
BillBurr.com, Monday morning podcast, and all your upcoming tour dates are posted on BillBurr.com.
Yes, they are. They are all
Go
up
see
there.
Bill live and get his new comedy special, Let It Go. Thank you, Bill. Thank you
so much for having me.
Kevin Smith and the SModCastle. My name is Tom Green. Good night, everybody. Thank you to our audience. See you next time.
Show, but it's not your show. It's the Tom Green Show. 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 The Tom Green